All right, welcome back to the co-sponsor podcast. Today, I'm extremely excited to have Lars Hedenborg on the call today. He's out a little bit south of Charlotte, South North Carolina.
Yep, North Carolina.
North Carolina. Always get those two mixed up, so forgive me for that. So, yeah, I know nothing about your business. Met you at the eXp event, invited you on the show. So I'd love just to like get into it and see exactly where's your business today, where you started, and like what led you to eXp.
Man, we only have what, 4 hours to do this.
Four and a half.
Yeah, so I'll give like the 2 minute version of the journey, and I think it'll just set the stage for this conversation, and especially your final question to like why EXP at the time I did it, having said no to it for many years, but 2007, left my corporate job, multiple six-figure, traveling the world, corporate acquisitions and strategy. I had a Duke MBA, so I was on a path in my corporate job where the guy that was my boss ultimately became the chairman of this company, and I knew that I was on that path. But the guy that recruited me to Charlotte from New Jersey, 33 years into the company, he was just getting set to retire. Pancreatic cancer, 4 months later, dies.
Oh wow.
So I'm like, what the F? There's no way this is a path of freedom. Like, I can't see myself putting in 33 years to get like a shot at running a division, so of a public company. So I cut that off. I had been investing in real estate here locally. I sold 3 homes in New Jersey that allowed me to acquire 9 homes down here.
Cool.
And I just got talked into getting my license from my broker, who was a really good sales guy. And so that was like early 2007. Fast forward, great financial crisis, everything hit the fan. But I just put my head down. I figured out like one or two lead sources. I sold 27 homes in 10 months, 44 my first full year. 5 years later, 10 producing agents, did 453 transactions. So I kind of took some of that business background and like systems and all of that and just applied it to real estate. And then in 2013, after I had built something that I didn't see a lot of teams doing, like a profitable, fully leveraged, I'm fully out of production, working 1 day a week. Um, I started coaching others along that journey. Systems, a lot of systems, sustainability, like what does freedom look like? And that was 2013. I started that coaching company. And just 4 months ago, I totally wound down that company. So at first, same approach that I took in real estate. I coached a bunch of people one-on-one. I really figured out my craft and applying the systems and tools that I had learned in my production business and building a team. And then I was able to basically turn my coaching business into a team model. 4 or 5 coaches. I'm running the lead gen, building the systems and the funnels, and like I'm kind of that guy. I think you strike me as the same kind of, like, I'm more the Wizard of Oz. Like, don't look behind the curtain. Like, I'm not the PT Barnum. Like, a lot of these team leaders are like PT Barnum. Like, you're like, well, what's going on here? You're so energetic, and I'm just like, leave me alone.
Yep.
So that lent itself really well to building businesses. And then in 2020, Saturday, September 5th, I just told this story earlier today. Um, John Mikish, who was the one that called me on that day, asked me, well, told me he's moving his brokerage over to EXP. I'm like, what the heck? We were united against EXP, and now you're telling me. And then he asked me a question. He's like, this is what, like, kind of got me. He's like, have you actually ever studied it? Like, I know we hate it. Like, I know we hated it together, but have you actually studied it? And I'm like, son of a gun, who told you to say that? Because I've never actually studied it. And I just had a knee jerk reaction to the multi-level, like people coming at me, like ground floor opportunity. Like, for my personality type, when you're coming at me heavy, where it's a ground floor opportunity, you're going to miss it. I'm like, I just retreat. And that was like most of the guys, not that there were that many, but the few guys that had reached out to me came in with that energy, and it was very like I pushed away from it.
Oh yeah.
But then when John asked me if I had studied, he's like, I'm not asking you to join, just study with me. Jesse, I kid you not. That was on a Saturday, September 5th. I was licensed on Friday, September 11th. And I had to bust up a business partnership on the Tuesday in between there.
Oh
So
wow.
it's like anyone watching this that is in the world of rev share and you're wondering like, is there anyone left out there that hasn't like looked at, you never know, who's out there that is, it's their time to shift into the right model, which is massive, massive leverage.
So
And since that pivot, I've wound down my coaching company. I took my coaching company from 175,000 a month to 17,000 a month in
oh
four
wow.
months.
So
So,
so you made the move to EXP in September of 2020.
yep.
Oh wow. Yeah, so we came in at almost the exact same time. I was March of 2020.
Yeah, awesome.
What like what was it when you were doing the studying of EXP that like clicked for you?
Oh, this'll hit anyone that isn't where they want to be financially. This'll hit you right in the head like a two by four. So at that point, so this is 2020. So I graduated college in 95, right? Yeah, 95. So 2020. So in 25 years, I had been working corporate job, pivoted into real estate. I had the coaching company. I think my net worth was over 5 million, but like liquid, 2.4 million. I remember it was 2.4 million. And someone had showed me just the whole 4% rule and like residual. And for whatever reason, I was just going down a path of working hard and like assets were accumulating and whatever, right or wrong, whatever. And then I'm like, I did the math on, and I just used 5% because it was an easy number. I did the math on 2.4 million. If it was, throwing off 5%, that would be 10,000 a month,
Mm.
right? So, 120,000 a year. And then the person, and it was actually John's sponsor at the time, or still, AJ Maida, who showed me the math on RevShare and told me what I would be required to do to whatever, bring 25 agents in, it'll grow out to 250 to 500 is literally exactly what he told me. I'm like, I could totally do that. And then when I realized what all the years I had done had led to from like a residual income standpoint, I realized that if I could just follow that simple plan from a residual standpoint or a leverage income standpoint, it would blow out of the water what I had done previously. So it took me 6 months to bring 25 people into EXP. That month, I had 222 in my organization. 4 months later, I hit 523 in my organization. And I had like, my fourth month was like 10, 11 grand. Then I hit like 26, 34. And that 10th or 11th month, I hit 54 grand in a single month. And so just understanding that every one of us, I don't care who's listening to this, unless your brain doesn't think this way, you're likely working for money. Like, there are people out there that are not working for money. It's all about impact, and you're, moving your family to Africa to be a missionary, and love you, and I'll support you to do it. I don't feel like I'm called to do it right now. But assuming you're trading time for money, you have to slow down and just think about what does that trade look like so far? Like legit, just run your net worth numbers and how much of it is liquid, not like tied into your home or like rental properties that you hope are going to pay down and whatever's going to happen with those, but legit liquid net worth. Like in 3 to 7 days, you can write me a check for X dollars. That's liquid net worth. Just do a multiplier on that. And if that number doesn't get you excited, if it took you 20 years to have $1 million of liquid net worth saved at 5%, that's 50 grand a year. It's 4,000 a month. If you can't live anywhere near the lifestyle that you're living now on 4 grand per month, and it took you 10 years to get there, what are you going to do different in the next 10 years to have a dramatically different financial position? And
Yeah.
I could have been totally fine going down the path I was going down because I enjoyed it. I love businesses. I love the challenge, all of that. But it's more probable that you can pivot into a model like ours, partner with somebody that is a little bit ahead of you that can show you how to do it and run with you. And then you could attract 10 agents in the next 2 to 3 years, and that'll grow into 100, and that'll be worth more than that million you have in the bank right now. And I
What?
think most people can come in and do it a whole lot quicker than that with the right support.
Yeah. It's funny. I talk to a lot of people. I've never heard anybody like break it down so simply by saying like 5% of a million is 5 grand or 50 grand. Divide that by 12. Now you're 4 grand a month. And people are always like, how do you figure these numbers out with retirement? That right there is the easiest solution.
Yeah.
What like, obviously the attracting a lot of agents like that out of the gate isn't like simple. So what was your strategy when you came in? Because obviously you weren't excited about this model, and almost everyone that I interview has the same exact story. I was anti EXP. I was in the same boat, and then something clicked and it made sense, and then I came in and I was like full steam ahead. So what was your strategy when you came in, and like what was your vision?
Yeah, and I think it's shifted a little bit over the last 5 years. So it just celebrated 5 years at eXp, but I'll answer the question two ways because I see the leveraged income opportunity and now how I'm able to serve my 2,100 agents and especially people that are a little bit closer to me. And we just launched a builder call today. There's like 120 agents in my organization that have 10 or more under them. So they've already done what only 3% of EXP agents will do is get to 10 or more.
Nice.
Um, at the time, I used like a lot of years of connecting and helping agents deeply in their businesses and leveraging those relationships, hoping it would work, right? Like, yeah, like Jesse, I know I said this was a stupid idea for you a year ago, but trust me, it's going to be great now. So a lot of it was like, I understand it now. I didn't slow down to look at it. I think it could be something that we could work on together. I'm going to dig in with you and we could build this thing out together. Um, and so it still was one-on-one conversations though. I remember when I tried to like sort of email my database about EXP, the CMO at the time, I think she's still the chief marketing person at EXP. She called me personally on my cell phone. You can't do that. Like you can't just let everyone know you're at EXP. And not only could I not do it, it didn't even work. So here's the thing I would tell anyone if they're kind of consuming this for like, what could you do in your business? Just realize that every agent right now, we're 18, as we're recording this, 18 months, maybe a little bit more into a unit recession. So income available to real estate agents has been going down for 18, 20, 22 months now. Last year was the worst year in 30 years. This is the worst year in 31 years. So we're just at a abysmal point in terms of the income available for agents. And knowing that, and this is no value proposition. Like, yeah, we've got co-sponsorship and, Jesse's value proposition is awesome. Mine's awesome, whatever. EXP is an awesome brokerage. So
Hmm.
there are agents out there struggling that are paying in a cap of 23 grand to their, you know, red logo on the front door, dream big, dream bigger, whatever. But what are you actually getting for that investment? And you ask every agent, you know, and the answer is like, I'm not getting anything. It's like anything I do, it's like I'm looking on YouTube or I've got a coach outside of the brokerage. EXP legit has a value proposition and a platform that I would rival against anyone. I would choose EXP again if I had to start over again. So the reason I say that is that there are agents that are struggling, and you can just invite them to look at this because of the relationship you've built with them. So that's the thing. I already had those relationships, so it was a little bit easier for me to reach out. Um, it's not going to feel comfortable. It wasn't comfortable for me. It was very uncomfortable. Uncomfortable. I followed a script. I'm not an outgoing, extroverted opportunity, like an extroverted personality. I remember one guy that I coached for many, many years. I reached out to him and I said, follow the script. And he called me back right after I hung up with him. He says, I just got to be brutally honest with you, Lars. You sounded so nervous. Like you sound so nervous when you're going through whatever you went through with me right now. I said, I am nervous. Like, like like, yeah, I sound nervous because I'm nervous because this is a massive pivot for me and I don't know how it's going to be received. And so just know that you are going to be nervous. But if you come at it from like a value, like I first have a relationship with the person and then I'm adding value, I think you're going to win the game. I just had an advantage because I came into it, with at that point 7 years of coaching agents. But Jesse, we both know this. There are people at EXP, agents at EXP that came into this with like, who knew who the heck they were?
Hmm.
that now have 1,000 agents in their organization. It's like, how did you do that? Like, actually, it's not hard to look at how I did it because I had a unique advantage, which I wouldn't recommend to anyone go out and build the team I built and do the coaching company. Like that was really hard. This was
Hmm.
the cherry on top for that. But there are people that you wouldn't know them anyway. They have no social media presence and they have like two, three, four, 500, 1,000 people in their organization. I don't know if you were at that the Cabo event where this guy got up and spoke, and he didn't have a presentation ready, could not really articulate anything great on stage at all. But he has about 1,100 people under him at eXp, and he got licensed to do the rev share opportunity. So it's like if you see that guy, and you can pull up his recording. I won't say his name. I don't even remember his name. But the whole point is that it's just a mindset game, that and to be able to invite agents to your brokerage is just a mindset game.
Yeah, I think that was that the soccer coach guy.
Now it's the guy that has 700 people in South Africa.
Mm,
He's under Brent Gove. I don't even know
gotcha.
his name, even if I remembered his name. But it just proved to me once again, I go to those events not because I think like I always learn something and I can apply it, but I go to those events more so to be inspired by the average person that has now built up 10, 12, 15, $20,000 a month that had to fight cancer for a year and rev share was the thing that kept her family going, or like all these stories that just feed my soul to go out and find the next person that I can help do it.
Yep. Yeah, I think the biggest piece is like, like if you're an influencer or a coach like yourself, people always say like, oh, Lars got this because of his, when you said you had a unique position, but still you had to make the calls. You still had to do the reach outs and you were nervous doing it. So it's all about the action. Somebody said to me a couple weeks ago, they said, oh, it's easy for you because you're an influencer. And then my wife says, how many calls a week do you do? And I'm like, at least 30. And she's just like, yeah, I hear your Zoom thing going off like all the time. And I'm like, yeah, that's because I'm like on the grind to make it happen.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
if someone were to join your like organization today, is there any specific tools or training they would get access to?
Yeah, so the big pivot I made, and this was just 4 months ago. I won't tell you the story of how I got my ass handed to me in the coaching company. That was kind of the real sort of like lead up to all of it. Was my hand was forced a little bit. My main sales guy pulled the plug on closing for me in a high ticket environment. And I'm like, no way, I'm going back into sales and coaching. Like I've been there 100 times. I've done 1,000 strategy sessions. Like I'm just not doing it. But the cool thing about that pivot, I always had a value proposition, but now I took everything I would charge 10K for 90 days and then $1,800 a month. I just pivoted it all into eXp. So now the only way to get access to what I would charge a lot of money for, and I'm building it out a little bit differently, but mainly it's my $1 million agent method, 4 stages to get to 1 million GCI and have a life at the end of it, 100K GCI per year, 250K, 500, and 1 million. 10 lead gen levers, all the lead conversion systems, sequences, all the consultation frameworks, even leverage around client care and hiring an admin and getting a showing agent. So everything you need to get to 1 million and beyond is now free
Mm.
working with me. And it's like super tactical. So there's probably hundreds of documents, swipe and deploy, editable. Like it's not your typical coaching program. Like, okay, did you make your calls? We track implementation, not just production. So that I think that's the biggest differentiator in terms of what I'm working on is that it's very tactical. Like you won't in 90-day cycles, we lay out exactly day by day, like literally on the daily, what you have to do to be successful. And if you do it, you will easily get to 2 to 3 transactions per month, which is less than 1% of agents. You just got to follow the system, but very, very, very tactical.
It's interesting. Even last night, I was on ChatGPT and I was like, who has like a plug and play business building system? And like you can't just go onto Google and find one. It's very interesting to me, like in the real estate industry, because I got in 17. So like I was just like on YouTube piecemealing everything together. And still to this day, I've never had like a formal training on how to like build a team.
Yeah. Yeah, and I started with that. Like we used to, like my first 10 years in coaching, all I did was help. Even if you were at 250K, we would say we can't help you. We would only take people at 500K and get them to 2 to 3 million. Like that was our journey for the first 10 years of coaching. And then we just at the end pivoted into, that four-stage progression. But it is the like the actual tactics. And it's like, okay, you're telling me I need to do like expired direct mail, but like how do I set up Red X or what do I send? Or, like where's the link on the letter organizer to organize it all? Like, I mean, like tactical. And then when people call in, expired calls in and you pick up the phone, what do you say? And so it's laid out in a way where you can really just run with any of the 10 lead gen levers.
What
And
are
really there's only a couple that you need to do to sell, 4 or 5 homes a month.
what do you think is the biggest difference in those like four buckets?
Like 100K, 255, those.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say first off is like I've made all the mistakes, navigating all the 7 stages, the seventh being 3 million plus GCI. I've made all the mistakes, but I knew I was on that path. So really quickly, I set a vision. Like I'm always thinking 3 years out, and my 3 year vision, the first time I wrote it down was to get to 180 transactions. And so, like when you're thinking about getting to 180 transactions, and I'm only doing listings and I'm working less than 40 hours a week, and all this is written in my first business plan, you think about everything differently. So you're like really beginning with the end in mind. So I would think the way to navigate to a million GCI is to know you're going to get there in 3 years. And then, okay, if that's going to be true 3 years from now, what has to happen, today? So I have no lead gen levers set up in my business. So I got to get my database together. I've got to get brand authority or social together. Client care is a lead gen lever, expired direct mail. Like I've got to envision what four lead gen levers are going to help me close, 8 homes per month, two from each lead gen lever. Okay, so I can't work on all of them this year, the first year of 3 years, but let me get my database together year one. And then in Q4 of year one, let me layer in brand authority builder. Let me put in, so we're sequencing out all the right things because we've got 12 quarters, 12 90-day cycles that lead into this 3 year vision. And that's the biggest thing I would say is that, and this is just in the general population, people are like barely getting one foot in front of the other, let alone thinking about a vision for their future that's like wildly different than today.
So if you were talking to an agent that's struggling right now, and let's just say they're like year over year, they're like always just like barely hitting even, let's just say they're in that like 50 to 150 range. And in COVID era, like life was super easy, but now they're really struggling, which is what I'm seeing a lot. But none of them are like investing into themselves, but they're looking for everything for free. What would be like a framework or like advice you would be like giving them to like, because I feel like even me, like I just sometimes want to shake these people and be like, dude, this is what you need to do, but they don't do it. Like where what do you see as like the biggest obstacle and like what's the path forward to fix all that?
Oh, man, this is I'm so convicted lately around this one question. So, truth be told, if I look back on I was the person doing the building and like, so I can see in my journey how I was able to tinker and like build it out. In coaching, I was way better, way more effective if you were going to achieve anyway, and I just guided you so you didn't hit all the potholes.
Yeah.
Like, really, I did really well with those people. Now I'm obsessed over what you just said is how do I take someone who's like a little lost? They could probably do it, but there's some mindset stuff that's going on. Um, and so the real answer is that I'm literally figuring all that out now. Like, how do I take someone that for whatever reason they're looking for the easy button or they're not willing to put in the effort or they get distracted or um and and I'm going through some of that personally. I think we all hit a level of comfort and complacency. This one thing though is helping me right now. I'm in this health challenge where I'm committed to get down to 10% body fat. I've always
Nice.
been 20 to 22. Getting down to 10 is really hard. I'm at 16% now, and the comfort complacency is kicking in like never before. Although my son, who's 17, saw me with my shirt off yesterday and said, "Man, Dad, you're pretty ripped there." So that was a good compliment. But every hour I have a reminder come up. that says, "What would tomorrow you want today you to do?"
Mm-hmm.
So, like, I believe there's like a mental piece to, and it's shifted things to, like, my sleep has been really bad lately because I'm consuming a bunch of crap at night, YouTube or Netflix. And so now I've used that trigger, like, tomorrow you wants today you to get to bed at 10 o'clock because you're not your best self the next morning. You're sleeping in or whatever, or you're short with your kids, or so I think there's an element of just working on just like straight up personal development that someone has to go down that path of just like personal leadership that has nothing to do with the tactics. I know exactly what you need to do to sell 2 to 3 homes minimum, and that's getting to 250 KGCI in any market at current prices. But if you're looking for the next best thing, or you're looking for the easy button, or you're distracted with webinars and lead sources, you're not gonna get there. It takes effort and building out systems and frameworks in your business to be able to actually scale and do it in a sustainable way. And so that's one way to answer the question. The second way is literally what I just said, is that so many agents out there, and it's because there are big fat commission checks at the end of us getting a closing, that these marketers know that we mentally can spend money before we even make it. If it's $15,000 commission check, it's like, of course I'll buy your thing for 5,000 or spend $500 a month on a lead source or whatever. Going down the path of, in my experience, of letting someone else be get in between you and the buyer or seller. So if you're constantly looking for someone that's going to generate a lead for you, and that's going to be the way you build your business, I promise you're going to lose. You're going to lose the game. And so it could be like a mindset or personal development issue, but more often than not, agents think that's just the answer. It's like, let me just pay Zillow X% or Ideal Agent or any of the home seller, referral at closing. Let me just pay them, whatever they ask because it's better than nothing. You're better off just blocking out an hour a day, 7 days a week, and working on the actual systems that you need, database, social media, like core systems, and just adding value to the database, doing one post online, doing your 555. There's just basic things that you can do that don't cost money. So I don't know if that answered the question exactly, but
Mm-hmm.
one last thing is that anytime I've tried to build something, and this game, even at my current position with 2,100 agents, I still need to do things to bring new agents in that I don't feel like freaking doing, but I'm doing it because I have a clear 3-year vision. So 3 years from now, I want to be able to help another 4,000 agents in my organization. So I want to go from 2,000 to 6,000, not because I need the money. I just think there's a lot of impact to be had there. And I have like a certain vision for my future, and we're downsizing, moving into half the size house. I'll be debt free, just a lot of freedom that's going to happen here in the near term. Those are the things that allow me to do things that I don't freaking feel like doing. I brought over 7 agents to eXp in the last 3 months after taking 2 years off from personal prospecting, and none of the agents came over just because I was Lars, just because I had a coaching program, just because of whatever. I literally had to wrestle some of them to the ground to get on a call with me and then wrestle them for 2 months to make the move over. But
Yeah,
I did it because it fits into the vision I had for my business. And I'm not going to get there if I don't have whatever.
exactly.
So yeah, hopefully there's something in there that's helpful for anyone listening or watching.
I think it like goes back to the thing of like where you're like, basically like when you're new, like and you're talking about like year two is like your authority bucket or after year one, it's like, the agents that are successful out of the gate, like in their first year, they're like heavily focused typically on like open houses and cold calling, right? So it's like we know those are the things that you could always do to generate leads. And it's like the same thing back to like recruiting and building your organization. Like I went through the same process of like 2 years static at like 385. And like I kept like in the early days, like I was like similar to you, where like my first year, actually it took me 13 months to hit 100, but then the 14th month it went to 200. and then it like grew super quick. And then it's got like been static for a while. And also like in the social media space, you get a lot of like new agents because they think you're gonna solve their life with social media, and then they like come and go. So then this year I was like, you know what, I'm gonna give it 100% effort to like hardcore recruiting, and I brought on like 150. But it was like it's tons of calls, DMs, everything. So like I totally understand that, and it makes a lot of sense. Like, what is a strategy right now that you think agents that's working that agents aren't using?
Yeah, this one is pretty good, and I'd be lying if I didn't say I learned it from a learned it. Learned it sounds so Southern. Um, there's a guy in my market, and this is pretty random. We're building a home. So first time we go into this new home subdivision. Second time we're looking at another floor plan that was framed out, and I walk into that home, and the guy's like, Lars. Anyway, he knows me. His next door neighbor is really good friend of mine. He knew me because I was in real estate. He owns a local brokerage here, and he has a recruiting system with John Cheplack.
Oh,
So
nice.
it's like a recruiting marketing machine or something like that. And it's for a Better Homes and Garden. And Tony, if you listen to this, I didn't mean to slight. My point in even saying it that way is like it's a traditional brick and mortar brokerage that he'll recruit 300 agents to here locally this year. And all his main push, and he does a lot of social media, and like you definitely know this guy, um, is one-on-one video texting. And he doesn't do it; he has his recruiter do it. So he has one recruiter committing to 25 or 100 one-on-one video texts per week.
100.
100. Yep. So 25. And it doesn't take more than a minute. You're leaving 30 seconds. So it's not even a heavy lift. So that's the main thing I've been doing is just anyone that's been in my world for a period of time, I'm either doing a Facebook audio message, video text. 90% of agents have an iPhone. So I'm literally using my personal iPhone. So it's instantly sharing my contact card because I've loaded them up as a contact. And it's just reaching out and saying, hey, Jesse, this is Lars. You've been in my world for quite some time now. And I just wanted to reach out. I made a big move and I just wanted to know, give you an update on it and basically just invite them to like, if you want, I've got a 2-minute explainer video I can send over, give you a little bit more context of what it would look like to work together. Again, there's no charge for any of my coaching, going forward. Just text me back. This is my personal cell. And yeah, so I mean, it's not, I've probably done like 800 now. And I think the eighth is coming on board today.
Nice.
So is it good, bad, or indifferent? Like a 1% conversion rate? It's like, that's pretty good,
Oh yeah.
considering that only takes about 4 hours a week to do those 100, even a little bit less. But
Well, even if you've only been doing it for 8 weeks, the fruits of the labor are going to come in the long run.
yeah, for sure.
Because
I probably
as
have another, yeah, to that point, I probably have another eight that'll come in the next 3, 6, 12 months just because of the seeds that I've planted and I do 15-minute discovery meetings,
mm,
so it's not like a heavy investment. If they're not interested, it's totally fine. But I know I've like heavily embedded a seed in them, where they'll see my stuff that I put out or whatnot. So that's been the main push there. And then just adding value. If you're not with, I don't know who consumes this, who will consume this, but if you're with the eXp and you haven't taken Fast Attract yet, highly recommend it. And if you're thinking about coming over to a model like this, and that rev share provides a level of freedom, and I promise you that it does. Um, the way that we teach it is a way that anyone can do it, and it's taught by like it's world class, the training that we have on agent attraction now. And so just you need to suspend disbelief and say easy for those guys to say, or like it's not easy to do any of this crap, but there is nothing more leverage that you can do besides like it's the most leveraged thing, way more leverage than individual production, than a team, than coaching one-on-one, or even leading a team of coaches. It's the most leveraged thing that I've ever done.
yep, totally makes sense. What is like something that you think agents really hang on to that doesn't really matter?
What do you mean?
like with like what do you think they really think matters but doesn't matter to like the masses? So like whether it's like real estate brokerage brand, um,
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, I had this argument with a guy that's coming over now. He couldn't get over like a change that the broker wanted to make for his sign, his yard sign. And I just jumped on a quick call with him, and he's going to do great. He's coming over and he's going to crush it. But the bigger picture was to your point that the cool thing about eXp is that they actually don't want to be your brand. They just want to be the platform. Every state has a requirement on how you have to advertise, but they just want to be the platform by which, and they're going to provide all the tools and training, and it's like the most clever brokerage ever. Um, but your success has more to do with how you structure your business and the lead gen levers you choose to go deep on, and your ability to not get distracted and focus on one thing long enough to bear some fruit out of the seeds you plant, than the brokerage, EXP included. Is I could take a distracted, not focused, looking for the easy button, and put them at 10 brokerages over 20 years, and they're going to suck at all of them. So it's like picking a platform that you have a lot of faith in today and where it's headed, and then just picking a couple things to focus on to get to the point where income is so consistent and your bank account is overflowing that you can buy your time back.
yep,
That's the recipe for success. As I saw it, whatever, 12 years ago when I launched my coaching company, or as I saw it when I was doing the activities back in 2007, as I see it now as I'm doing the same activities you're doing. It's like nobody's going to come in and do this crap for me. Like it's like, well, you really have to do it at 2,100 agents. Like it's like, yeah, I don't want to not get paid on my seventh level, so that's why EXP has to stay in the game and do the activities. And I think it's good because I can lead my organization better.
uh,
Because the story I gave that same agent, and this is another one too, it's along the same lines. He told me, he says, I'm not going to make a move. I love my broker. And I'm like, well, let's just jump on a call and see if there's anything I can do to add value. And they say, yeah. And then he reiterated, said, I'll jump on a call, but I'm not leaving my broker. That was July 31st, and he's onboarding today with EXP.
yep,
So it's like, because I just shined a spotlight on the fact that his broker is doing nothing for the future of his business.
yep.
Literally nothing.
Yeah, it's interesting because success always leaves clues. So like you hear, Lars is in the trenches doing these things. I'm in the trenches doing these things. Every other influencer agent I've been interviewing, they're all like, I'm doing these things, right? So, I just like I see this like re-engagement. And also it kind of goes back to like we all know what works, like with generating leads for real estate transactions, and we all know what like generates deals. And actually, someone told me last week, they said, you got to bring people in the front door, but really protect the back door, make sure that they're like your retention's up. So like what do you do in your group to keep your retention up?
Yeah, that one is I think that's a trickier one. I don't know if it's a function of we do all the things. We have a really clean onboarding process into our world. We've got a community that we've structured out in school, SKOOL, which most agents are part of other school communities. So there's a single app and they can toggle through the different communities.
Hmm.
Um, but it's hard. Like I think agents generally are pretty zoomed out in terms of like just virtual meetings and whatnot. But I'm coaching once a week, so we're like, if you leave my organization and you claim to have not gotten any success and you've never shown up for a call that you knew was there all along, I I don't lose a lot of sleep over that. So, because as an industry, we tend to attract people that think it's going to be easy, and it's just not easy. Um, and so I don't, well, here's the good news is that I must be doing something right because net, my organization last year grew from like 1,900 to 2,000. So that was the most brutal year in terms of losing agents. Like most organizations did lose net agents. And this year, I started the year out, at around 2,000. and I'm up to 21, 25, and we seem to be picking up steam. But I think generally agents are moving now, and I think a lot of people are picking up steam now. So
Yeah, I
uh,
agree.
I think it's just to, we send out a weekly email, kind of summarizing call recordings. They know they have access um, to every tool, so we have like a Google Drive with all tools easily accessible, our school community. I'm going to start doing like a eXp explained weekly going forward. I got away from that. I did that for like a couple years in my early days, and I totally got away from it. I think that's a big leverage point for people, just to invite them to that call as like a pillar call every Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to do that call. And then, I mean, that's about it. It's kind of like the hardest part of this, but also the best part.
Yeah.
It's like, when I had a team of 10 agents selling 453 homes, it was dialed in. I knew when they were waking up, if they were hydrating, if they were eating well, if they were, it was like a high performing group of people. And now I don't know if they got up this morning. Some of them did because I see the transactions going in,
Hmm.
but it's like, it's an easier team to manage, but it's so spread out, 49 states, 6 countries, where it's kind of like I'll keep showing up. I tell everyone, like, my daughter's 15, she's a sophomore. I'm going to get her through college and then I may disappear. So 7 years, 100% I'm here, but then I probably will throw my cell phone in the ocean and get a new number that you'll never have. And I say it jokingly because I'm sure I'm not going to check out when I'm 59. I'm 52 now, but there's a chance. If things go the way that I think they will, maybe I'll disappear in 7 years.
Most of our lead generation is all through YouTube. So I always tell my business partner, I'm like, I cannot wait for the day we can just like delete the channels. Like that's my goal. I'm like, just be done. We're done.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
I know I like what you said about what would the Lars of tomorrow tell the Lars of yesterday. And I actually do that. I say, what's the 70-year-old Jesse gonna say to me now? Because I'm like, I'm working for my future self. And actually this like I used to think about this a lot when I worked at Costco for a couple years back when I was 19. I remember there'd always be these door clicker guys and they were, elderly because our Costco was in a retirement area. And I remember this one guy developed dementia, and I'm always like, man, I don't want that like to be working here when I'm 80. So like, what would you tell yourself like if you could go back 5 years ago? Because I was like right after you started at EXP in like 2020. Like, what would you tell yourself that could have created an outcome maybe different than what you have today? And obviously, you have a lot of great success. So is there anything that you would have done differently?
Yeah. um, Jay Kinder, I'm not in his organization, but I coached with him back in the day. And I texted him after I came over, and he spent like 90 minutes with me. And I took like pages and pages of notes, because he went all in. He went from running, Kinder Reese at that time was a $10 million coaching company. Him and Michael Reese were splitting about 1.5 million net. Um, so that was great. That's how a business at that level probably should be run from a margin standpoint. Um, and he said, this is the thing you go all in on. And not everyone can go all in on it, but I know there's no like pot of gold at the end of a production rainbow, or
Yeah.
even like a coaching company. So that's the one thing that I did that for about 12 or 18 months where I went all in and I did some hard pivots and I did the work. But then I put all my focus back on the coaching business for 3.5 years until about a couple months ago, where now I literally burned that boat. So that company doesn't exist anymore in the way that it does. We've got some long-term members which are still getting a ton of value. But again, it's like 90% of that company's gone. It's 10% of what it was. So the thing I would tell myself, and this is what I would tell anyone, is be honest with yourself what your current financial position is. And are you where you thought you would be at this point in your journey? And if you're not, what the F is going to change in the next 3 to 5 years?
Hmm.
Like, you're not going to flip a couple homes. You're not going to acquire a couple rental properties in the next 3 to 5 years. That's going to make a significant difference. So this is the only thing that the normal agent can turn into a net worth equivalent of millions. And so take the simple math on a million is 5% is 50,000 per year, 4,000 per month. If you need to get to $12,000 per month to be financially free and just have a check mailed to you every month for 12,000, that's your freedom number. That's like having $3 million liquid net worth. If you don't have 300,000 liquid, if you can't write me a check for $300,000 in the next 3 days, you're screwed. You have not, whatever, there's no judgment. Just be real about it. Whatever you've done up to this point in your career or where you've placed your hours in terms of making money, if it hasn't led to 3 million net to throw off, you know, 12,000 a month, you're screwed and you need to deal with it. What's the best way to deal with it? Thinking you're going to acquire 20 rental properties in the next 3 to 5 years when you haven't done any of it now? That's the dream that's sold to us. Thinking you're going to sell a lot of homes, we can teach you how to do that. There's no freedom in it, I promise you. Rev share is the only thing I've seen that anyone can come in with the right support, with the right person that's going to run with you. You can actually come in and you can build a net worth equivalent in a year, what it would take you 30 years to do on your current trajectory. And that's like straight up the truth. I've seen it hundreds of times at eXp, where if you don't believe my story and you can't benefit from my story personally, just trust me, there are people at this company that you would not know their names, and they're taking down 3, 4, 500,000 a year of rev share. And they're like a quote unquote nobody, no social media presence. They don't sell a lot of homes, whatever, but they
Hmm.
just committed to put a little bit of time, get a little bit uncomfortable on agent attraction. And the result is that they're financially free in a way that was impossible in the traditional model that's set up for us as agents.
And what kind of agent thrives in your guys' environment?
Oh man, that's a good question. So I have, you can't see it here, but I have a neon sign over there that says do the work.
Hmm.
I tend to be the guy that, and this doesn't work well in marriage, just in case you're wondering. I am low empathy, like low empathy. And like my answer to you, your current situation is do the work.
Yep.
It's like, but I don't, it's like, do the work. I'm like, time block your calendar, sit down and do new business development. Have 20 conversations a day. I don't know 20 people. How many people in your city? 300,000 is a small city. 300,000, you don't know 20 people. It's like, you better get to work and whatever we need to do to put you. So I tend to be that kind of guy. It's not the best way to coach. It doesn't land with a lot of people, but in terms of like directly partnering with me, I don't like it if you make a bunch of excuses. It's okay not knowing how to do something because that's like everything I've ever done that's new. It's like I don't know how to do it. And John, my sponsor, had to like actually write me a script that I literally read when I called people. So it's okay not knowing how to do it, but um, don't make excuses and being willing to roll up your sleeves and actually do the work. To your point earlier, it's like, do we know anyone that is like, even the guys at the top are still like, I scratch my head when Brent is like stressed out and taking on like $1 million bill at a hotel where he doesn't know until 2 days before if he's gonna, like, why are you doing that? You're making, but his whole thing is impact, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to show that next person how to do it and how to do it right. So I would say, if you want to work with me directly, it's you probably have achieved something else.
Well,
I'm not going to be the salvation for someone that has sucked at everything they've tried in their whole life, and I'm not the person that has the patience to unpack it all with you. But if you have run before in something else, I can run with you on this thing.
that's why you like those $500,000 producers because you like to take that's like I'm in the same boat like in our coaching program. It's like you you have to have like established success and then we'll help you go to the next level. I'm
Yeah.
exactly like you. I'm like, are you doing the work? Like I literally had a call last week with a guy who was like asking for money actually, an agent, tough situation. And I just said, I have this little questionnaire I make everyone take before they get on the call with me. And it's like, are you doing a minimum of 5 hours a week of lead gen and 5 hours a week in your CRM? And it was like, no, no. So I said, I'm not going to give you the money, but I will sponsor you into, he like told me he's like a real person guy. And I said, I'll sponsor you into Brian Buffini's program. And I said, I need you to get on the call with them and I will give you them my credit card. Dude, it's been a month and he's texting me every week. Hey, I still haven't done it. I'm going to do it when I get time and this and that. And I'm just like, dude, here's the mirror. Here's the problem.
Yeah, and that's like, it's an advanced level. I have not achieved this. This is my part of my next stage is at least to be able to speak on this. But how could someone that is presumably like desperate for income not take you up on like the Hallmark program for database? It's
Dude.
like I would have been like the next second, I would have been like, show me your credit card now on this call. I'm on the site right now.
Oh, dude, 100%. That's like when I got into real estate and I didn't know what I was like sold the whole thing, like number one brokerage, number one team. And I got into it and I was like, nothing was happening. And I asked like our listing agent on our team did 300 transactions a year. And I'm like, dude, where are you getting these deals? He's like, I still prospect. He's like, open house, for sale by owner. One has a sign for sale, one has people coming to buy. And so I'm like, I dedicated 100% of my time, dude. I was like cold calling 8 hours a day. And I'm like, I was getting listing appointments and it was working. And I was like, all right, this is the way it is. And then I just like crashed and burned
Yeah.
after two
And you,
years
you
of that.
mentioned open houses a couple times now. I think for a lot of agents, there's a guy that I coach that is struggling to get his production business up and running, but he's in a market where there are other eXp agents that carry listings. And the beautiful part of that is they'll pretty much let you hold those listings open
Oh, yeah.
and just have the right system. When we have a system to generate seller opportunity from open houses, but he does 4 a weekend. And I told everyone on the call, I'm like, what do you think the chances are that John is gonna not be successful? Like, 0%.
Yeah.
0% chance he doesn't start closing a home or two every month and become the 1 to 2% in his market. Like I said, I mean, the risk is burnout, 4 a weekend. I said, but he's going to be able to generate the income, put a little aside, hire a junior agent, get them to run the system that he proved works and how to approach people and all the little nooks and crannies of that system. So yeah, but I don't have a lot of patience for excuses, or maybe, that's an admission that I don't have what it takes to coach people. Like that's not my sweet spot. That's not my gift.
Yep.
Um, there's what I do recommend, if that's you and you're listening to this, I do recommend um, Tony Robbins has, you probably know this, he has all of his stuff available on an app called Breakthrough for like $300.
Mm.
It's like all of his core programs that are like you have to go through that basic personal development
Oh, yeah.
stuff.
Breakthrough. Yep.
Yeah. So I recommend just go out, and I think there's even a discount code to get it for 199 somewhere.
Are you familiar with Patrick David?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I did his consulting program. Very, I wouldn't recommend it, but I will say they have their app called Connect. And what I learned yesterday listening to the show is that you can go into their trending, people ask their questions and pay for it, and you can listen to their response. And so they have trending questions. And so like you can go in there and get questions that people are asking and spending $15,000 to get the answer for, and you can hear the responses from these professionals. So I'm like, you're getting high ticket coaching for free.
Wait, where is that?
It's called Manect.
How do you spell it?
Minnect.
Oh, that is awesome.
Dude, I'm like literally you can go in there. It's like Patrick Bet David, $15,000 for a 15-minute call, and you can listen to the answers he's giving to these
That's
people.
wild. Yeah, I
Or
just built. I've got to run. I know you do too.
yep.
I just built out my digital mind.
Okay, cool.
Like I loaded up all my YouTubes that prioritizes all the recent ones. It's on Delphi AI, but you can go to like me. It's like delphi.ai backslash coach Lars or Lars, I forget which one. But you can like literally call it up and it's in my voice. It sounds AI, but it gives you answers to all of the crap that I've already put out there, sort of AI driven. So that's pretty wild.
One quick thing, if agents want to get a hold of you, where can they go?
Yeah, I would say go to agentfreedomos.com. So agent freedom operating system. So agentfreedomos.com,
Cool.
which is the same site as growthcoachlars.com.
Okay, cool. We'll put that down in the description. Thanks again for coming on. Know you got to run, but yeah, we'll catch you at EXP Con if you'll be there.
Yep, I'll be there. See you,
All right,
Jesse.
man. We'll see ya.
All right, bye.